We've decided to spend 40,000 euros to dig a ditch and flood this forest right here. But why, you might ask? Mossy Earth, you plant trees and kelp forests and you help wildlife. Why are you spending all this money to flood a forest? Do we really need our forests to be underwater?
This is a fair question, which I intend to answer in full in this video. But before we get to the flooding part, to properly tell this story, we need to go back to the start. And I need to tell you about a very important ecosystem: wetlands.
Well, to be fair, wetlands aren't just one ecosystem, really. Technically speaking, there are about 31 types of natural wetlands, but they can be broadly broken down into two categories: marine and coastal wetlands, such as marshes, mangroves, rocky shores, or lagoons, or inland wetlands, such as rivers and streams, deltas, swamps, and floodplain forests. Wetlands can be found anywhere water interacts with land. The special conditions in these areas led many species to evolve and adapt to live in this environment, such as dragonflies, beavers, turtles, and herons. This means that wetlands are some of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. And in addition to that, they also play a crucial role when it comes to climate change. They help fight floods by absorbing the excess water, and also droughts by then releasing that water slowly so that it lasts during the dry season. They also suck up a lot of carbon from the atmosphere, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. This is because in forest ecosystems, most of the carbon is stored in trees, and when they die, they decompose and release a lot of the stored carbon back into the atmosphere, with a smaller percentage being stored in the ground. In wetlands, however, the opposite happens. After a tree or plant dies, the water often prevents them from decomposing at the surface, allowing the ecosystem as a whole to store a larger portion of this carbon in the soil. Unfortunately, these precious habitats have been destroyed for centuries, often drained for farming and tree planting, or by having their watercourses blocked by a dam upstream. This means there are a lot of areas that used to be wetlands, but are currently dry.
So I think now you can see where I am going with all this. At Mossy Earth, we are always looking for the best bang for your buck when it comes to bringing back wilderness.
The holy grail of this is a relatively small intervention that can kickstart a flood of change and bring back healthy, functioning, and sustainable ecosystems that can be left alone to be wild and not require any more human management. So with this in mind, we've been on the lookout for wetland project opportunities for a while. And in Europe, there is no better place to look than the Danube. This mighty river runs from the Black Forest to the Black Sea. It flows for more than 2,850 kilometers and supports wetland ecosystems across 10 countries. A notable area is the Danube Delta in the Black Sea, with its maze of streams, its pelicans, and its wild horses. Funnily enough, I was wild camping in this delta while finishing and launching the website for Mossy Earth in 2017. Good times. Other important areas along the river's course include the last remaining floodplain forests in places such as Slovakia. And this is when, in 2020, we found BROZ. This fantastic organization has been working in the Danube to restore and protect floodplain forests. After a lot of calls and work between our biologists, we started working together, right in the middle of the pandemic. Fast forward a few years and we have done 3 projects together, such as protecting turtle nests, supporting ground squirrel habitat, as well as planting more than 60,000 trees in the region. However, with Mossy Earth growing in size, we recently reached out to them with the idea of doing something bold, something bigger. It was time to create a wetland. And this is when together we decided we were going to flood a forest. The area we are focusing on is here, near the town of Narad. It became dry in the 80s due to the construction of the Gabachkovo Dam upstream. In addition to this, the remaining water channels were covered by foresters to create suitable conditions for timber production. So we are dealing with a forest that is too dense and has some of the wrong species that outcompete wetland endemics such as carex species because the environment is much drier than it should be. The plan is to dig 650 meters of ditches from here to here and flood these areas in yellow and help kickstart the wetland restoration process. Our aim is to restore approximately 64 hectares of wetland, which is about 120 football fields in size. These areas will support a variety of wetland species, including plants such as phragmite species, carex species, and tipa species, and also wildlife such as the Pannonian root vole, as well as a variety of insects and amphibians, which will in turn support many species of birds that prey on them. In addition to the habitat creation, this project will also help capture carbon. Based on these 2 studies, we estimate that when the wetland is fully up and running, it will capture somewhere between 200 and 355 tons of carbon each year. When converted to carbon dioxide, this means that every year it will suck about 1,290 tons of CO2 out of the atmosphere. That is the equivalent of you taking 3,902 flights between Lisbon and London, or the full annual footprint of about 189 average Europeans each year. This means that over the course of the next 50 years, we could capture about 64,500 tons of CO2, all for a one-off intervention of 40,000 euros. Our focus at Mossy Earth remains on rewilding the landscape, as the problem we face is a lot bigger than carbon. But it is good to know that this will be great to fight climate change as well.
We will be presenting and discussing this project at our next Zoom Town Hall meeting for Mossy Earth members.
So if you're a member, keep an eye out for the invite. If you're not, then all I can say is you're missing out. With a Mossy Earth membership, you'll be planting trees, supporting wildlife, and funding projects such as this one on a monthly basis. Check out the link in the description to learn more. As the work begins over the next few months, myself and Hannah will hop on a train and make our way to Slovakia to show you a bit better what is happening on the ground and how the project is progressing. We hope you are as excited about this project as we are. Until next time. Cheers!